And welcome to Stackflow Tech. My name is Emmanuel Meli, and in this video, we're going to talk about table properties in AL, and I'm going to use our project, which is Library Management System. I'm going to go to the books, then drill down on this book one. Then under these authors, we had created on the previous video, we'd ensure that we were able to select from a list of authors. Now, we need to be able to add an author at this point. That is, we don't have to go back to the book authors right here and then add another one. We just want a feature whereby we can just add an author right at this point. So there's a feature called LookUpPageId, which will give us a plus sign here. When we click, it will be able to create for us a new author. So I'm going to go to our source code, and then right here on the table properties, I'm going to add a property known as the lookup page ID. And then I'll look up this page here as the authors. Then I will publish using my shortcuts, but you can click run and then start run without debugging. It has published successfully, so I'm going to head straight to the books, and then right here on the list part, this part is called the list part. I'm going to click on this drop down arrow, and then right here you can see a plus sign that when you click, it opens for you a list of your authors. So I'm going to have author 2 as our second author. Let's call this author second author as the name, and then email can be anything, second.author.mail. Then we can have phone number from any country that can be. Then if we want to add this author or this into our to replace, then you just click OK, but we don't want to do that. We just want to create another author right here as author 2. You just click, and then it populates the information of author 2. We had ensure that this part is uneditable. So another feature, okay, fine. The feature that we added here is called the lookup page ID, and you add it on the global side of the table. So right here you can still add another feature known as the drill down page ID, and then we want to drill down on the authors. So what this does is that wherever we have maybe we have counted authors in some other page, and then we want to drill down to see those authors, it will take us to this page here when you drill down. And again, there's another feature whereby you notice that we can only see the author number. We don't see the first name, we don't see the last name, we don't see the email, we don't see the phone number. The only thing you can see is the author number because they are primary keys. There's a feature that when you use in a table, it will be able to give you author number or anything that you specify in that feature. And that feature is called the field groups. So I'm going to use the field groups on this table, authors table, and then we will publish and see what happens. It's called the field groups. And then you can take field group, and then since we want a drop down, let's give it a name of drop down on this field group. And then we need to mention what we want to see. Maybe we want to see the first name of the author, and then the last name. So remember, we have not included the author number. So maybe we don't want to see the author number. We just want to see the name. So I'm going to publish. Great, it has published successfully. So you're going to go to the books. Under books, you're going to maybe assume we want to add a new book. So right here you can see we have James Karam and second author. These are our authors in the author table. This feature that has enabled us to see these two records in terms of two fields is the field groups right here. You can add it down of the keys right here in the table. This is our table author. Again, there's another feature. I'm going to go to another feature where it's called triggers. Triggers are added into the table so that when you do something such as when you insert a new record to the table, or when you modify, or when you delete, what happens? You may want your data entry to enter some other information automatically, such as the time and maybe the user ID, or you may want to check something before someone deletes. Maybe you want to check the status, or you want to check the user at that time. So what happened at that point is that you can use a trigger. Maybe you want to check who is trying to modify a record. If they are allowed to modify a record, then they do. But if they are not, then it throws an error. So I'm going to add a trigger number 1 here. I'll use the snippet for triggers. I'll add one known as the on insert. Um, I want to do it on a different table. Let's say the books. I want to see who added the books at what time. So I'm going to go to our tables and then click on the book table. And then right here on the after the keys, I'm going to add a trigger for on insert, and then I'm going to create another field, store the date, maybe created at date, and then these are dates. Then I'm going to add another one known as the uh, created by. You can click tab, then this is code 50. Then I need these fields to not be able to edit, so I'll have it as false. Then I'll also have this other one as editable false, so that you cannot edit these two fields. So I want these two fields to automatically take the date when that record is entered, and to automatically pick the user ID of whom is entering the ID, and we're going to do it on insert. So I'm going to initialize created at this function known as the work date. It's an inbuilt function that gets the current work date. So yeah, it gets and sets the work date for the current session. So, and this other one here for the created by, I'm going to have another function known as the user ID. It's a globally inbuilt function that gets the username of the user account that is logged on to the current session. So as you can see, it is procedure. So this other one is also a procedure. These are the inbuilt procedures. So I'm going to expose these fields under the card here for the book. So right here after genre, I'm going to have a new field that give us the created by the username who is logged in at that particular moment. Then we have to expose this field in terms of the application area. Then we can have another field by just copying this, then pasting it right here. Then that will be created at. So you have these two fields. Remember, I've added them in the card, page type card. It's not in the list. So I'm going to publish. It has published successfully. So I'm going to go to the books. and then we never added it in the list. So you can see we still have our normal 4 fields. So I'm going to open book 1 and see if we have extra fields. We have extra fields here, created by and created at. You can see they are empty. This is because they are initialized when you enter, when you create a record, not when you open. So I'm going to create a new book. Sorry. So I'm going to use this action. These actions, when we're creating actions in our previous videos, said this part, this area in actions is called the creation. So if you click that, it opens a new pad for the book. So we have this as book 3, and then let's call it introduction. Sorry, introduction to AL, and then can have it as something like that. And then to genre, maybe programming. Okay. Interestingly, I forgot to mention when I was entering that immediately after you've triggered the insert function by trying to insert a record, it gives you this data. The APML is that's like the server, and then this is the username. So because I'm using the Windows account, this is the Windows account, and then this is the username of the logged in user at this date. We are in the future. Never mind about the future. This is because we are using a free license. So I don't know if you saw that, but if you try to click new, and then let's say you can see it's still blank, I'm going to add book 4, and then click enter. You can see right here that magic happened. It entered these fields automatically, and they are grayed out because I've marked them as editable fields. It's a field property. It's not like a table property. It's a table field property where you mark it as editable. It's also in the page when we will discuss about the page properties. We'll talk about the editable, which is the same as what is happening right here in the table. Right here, yeah, editable files. Again, I'm going to introduce another trigger, another table trigger. We can still add it down here, but I want to use a different table. Let me see which table I can use. I can use the patrons. So I'm going to put somewhere in the patrons table so that we can record the user ID who modified that record. If someone comes here, let's say edit, and then they modify the name or anything about these records, then we are going to take the username of that person and even the date and time. Date and time, not just date and time. So we're going to go to our table here for patron right here, and then I'm going to create 2 fields. One is for this will be number 7, and then the name will be modified. So yeah, modified by, then click tab. This will be code 50. Maintain editable files so that nobody edits this part. If they modify, we record with the who modified. And then another field will be the date, sorry, date time modified date time. Let's also make it editable file so that once they modify, they cannot modify the time they modify. Anyway, why is it giving us an error? Oh, because we are trying to the data type is blob, so let's maintain code. No, this is the date time. it's not date. Our previous table, we were using date. In this one, we are using date time. This one takes exact time and the exact date when that record was wherever modified. So anyway, we're going to add our property right here, trigger on modify, and then we're going to initialize those variables or those fields modified by with the user ID. I told you this is a procedure, an inbuilt procedure that gets and sets the logged in user ID at that particular time. And then we're going to also have modified date time, and then we initialize as current date time. So this one will get for us, yeah, you can over and see gets the current date time. It's a procedure. It's an inbuilt procedure by Microsoft. Now we're going to publish. It has published successfully. We were trying to see what we can get from. Unfortunately, we have not exposed those fields in the in the in the page. But when you inspect this page, let's try to inspect using a shortcut. My keyboard can use Control Alt F1. So if you scroll down, you can see we have modified date time, and then we have modified by. I want to expose them. And as said earlier, we can expose these fields in our patron. Let's put it in a patron card, page card, right down here. Let's add a field and let's call it the way we had called it, modified by. Then we're going to expose it using basic switch, and then on another field we're going to have modified date time, and then expose it with basic in terms of the application area switch, then publish and see what happens. Okay, we are expecting to see some signs doing its work, what it does best. It's nothing, there's no magic here, it's just some good signs. Okay, it's success. So let's see. Nice. So we were on the patrons. I want to demonstrate something. You can see this is a list. We are not able to get to the card. And right here in our source code, we have a page type card. We also have, for patrons, we also have page type list. You can see this list is missing a given property. Who can guess that? Of course, if you are good, if you can remember, we had property known as card page ID, where we need to specify the card that we need to open once we drill down any record in this list right here. So I'm going to give us a patron card right there. I'll publish. It has published successfully. So I'm going to, yeah, right here. You can see this part is drillable. When you click, it opens for your record. And right here, we have these two fields. We added them intentionally so that it will capture who edited what at what time. So if someone tried to change the name of John Doe to maybe John Dan, then click enter, you can see we have these details. It was changed on 3rd of September, and then the time is 10:51 p.m. This is the exact time that I changed this record. And then in the future, I'll explain why why this record when you try to make myself a patron? Why is it not picking this time? And remember, the time was already been picked, which is 10:52. It's 10:52, 3rd of September. So there's a property in page which we'll discuss in the future that updates, it just updates this, but it cannot update, but it will update if we reopen it again. You can see it was 10:52. We still believe it's 10:52 now. Yeah, it was 10:52 when I was modifying this record here. So now that's all for on modify, and then finally on triggers, I'm going to discuss a trigger known as trigger on delete. So I'm going to have someone delete a book, and then we can ask them whether they are so sure, because maybe they deleted it by mistake. So I'm going to go to book. This is our table for book. We don't need a variable, we don't need a field. I'm going to introduce our trigger, delete, and then I'm going to ask this person whether they are sure. So there are two other things I'm going to introduce here that we had not mentioned in our project for library management system, which is we had used if before. There's a procedure known as confirm, and then it takes a string. It takes a string as a parameter, and then the string will be the words that you want to ask the user when they do something. So maybe you want to ask them, are you sure? Are you sure you want to delete? If they answer yes, then by default it returns it returns a boolean, but by default it returns, when you don't mention anything, it returns a true. Then you don't do nothing, like you don't bring an error, you don't do anything. But if they decide that they don't want to, okay, wait, so by default, if they confirm that they are sure that they want to delete, then can exit this at that time. We can exit. Alternatively, we can still make it something else. But let's try this. Let's see what happens. We will try to delete a record in the book table. I'm publishing. Just successfully published. Successfully. Okay. That is a misplaced English in here. So we'll go to the books, and then I'm going to try delete this book for right there. Go ahead and delete. Of course, this is in build. Let's see. Now this is what we created. Are you sure you want to delete? Remember, we were doing triggers. So up to this point, it means we've triggered this line here, 64. And how did we do it? We clicked delete. When it asked us whether when the program inquired from us whether we wanted to delete, then we said yes, and then now it's asking us again whether are you sure you want to delete? Of course we are sure. Let's see. It has deleted successfully. We don't have book 4 no more. It's not there. It has gone. I'm going to maybe add a bonus line on this end. Instead of exiting after deleting, let's put an error and say, okay, an error is an inbuilt function. It's an inbuilt procedure that returns a string. I mean, it displays what you gave as a parameter. You are not authorized to delete. So for my typos, to delete these records. So if they confirm that they are sure that they want to delete, then we'll tell them with an error message that we will give them this information. And what an error message does is that it terminates. It does not continue. If it was deleting, it does not continue deleting, so long as there is an error message. So I'm publishing, and then we'll see what the error does. If I was lying about terminating the program, then we'll confirm. So there was this feature on books, and then if we try to delete, there's a delete button right up here. Then delete book 3. Yes. Are you sure? Yes. You see we have an error. You are not authorized to delete these books, this records. That's the string that we passed on on delete trigger. Okay, so that's it about the table properties. We have many other properties that we can add, and so maybe in the next video or in some future videos we will have them. So thank you so much for following up to this end. Please subscribe, like, even comment on this video if you have any concern.